Welcome to episode 38 of the Travel Calumet Original Podcast. I'm your host, Rick Sense, and today we're going to be talking about what I believe is the best Wisconsin state park of all. That's Calumet County's High Cliff State Park. I'm here in the office at the park today, and we'll introduce our guests in just a moment, but for those of you that have not been here, High Cliff State Park has it all, including miles and miles of trails, huge, beautiful rock formations, waterfront access and views, sweeping vistas. I guess from the tower is one of the best views in all of the area. Great camping, grasslands, effigy mounds for those that have interest in Native American history, equestrian trails, and even ruins. So this has got everything. Located near the Calumet County villages of Sherwood and Harrison, High Cliff State Park is unfortunately often overlooked, missed, or just off visitors' radar. It's literally minutes away from the city of Appleton and the other Fox cities, and it's less than a 3-hour drive from Chicagoland. High Cliff State Park offers so much to the traveler. So joining me for today's episode to share their passion for High Cliff State Park are Donna, Franczek, and Beth Braun, along with Nathan Jacques from the state of Wisconsin. And Beth and Donna are members of the Friends of High Cliff State Park, and they're going to be telling us all about what that is, and Nathan's going to be filling us in as well on some of the interesting things happening at the park this year. So with that, I guess Donna and Beth, I'm going to start with you. And Beth, first, I'll throw this one at you. What is the Friends of High Cliff?
The Friends of High Cliff is a 501c3. We were started, the Friends of Wisconsin State Parks were started in 1996, and the Friends of High Cliff were started in 1997 after there were budget cuts. So the taxpayer revenue was taken away or greatly reduced in 1995-97 budget, and 68.8% of funding has been cut since 1995. All GPR was cut in the state 2015 budget.
And GPR is general purpose revenue, correct?
Correct. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that left the parks to rely on user fees, such as admission, camper fees, trail fees, but no funding. It resulted in a $1.4 million deficit in the park account. And I said the 69% drop in funding. At that point, right now actually, the Wisconsin State Parks rank last per visit for state park funding. There was a need then for somebody to step in and help out, and that's when the Friends were created.
And Donna, what's your take on the Friends of High Cliff?
Well, I think we do some exciting things.
Okay.
As Beth mentioned, we really support the park with so many different things that they would not be able to do if it wasn't for the support of the Friends. Keeping in mind that we're nonprofit and we are all volunteers, so we do a lot of fundraising, from brat fries to wood concessions for our campers, selling plaques, memorials. We're constantly fundraising. Please stop at the park or at Dick's Family Foods and buy some merchandise with the Friends of High Cliff. We also make money there. So different things we've done through the years. The Butterfly Pond Trail, which is ADA accessible, was created back in 2002, and we continue to support that each year with invasive species removal, like those buckthorns, right? We restored our historic silo. We have purchased so many different things for the DNR staff to use. Our brush mower, our grapple, so some big ticket items to help them with maintenance in the park as well. And I can't forget our ADA accessible playground, which is in the upper part of the park. Phenomenal. It is amazing to see families up there. Part of it is in the shade, so on hot summer days it's really nice to see the families out there, but it's all accessible. It's one of those beautiful playgrounds that has the rubber mat underneath, and it's all wheelchair accessible too, with the cement paths around it. So as a friend and a board member of Friends of High Cliff, I'm just so impressed with our energetic board and how we are able to support so many things to keep our park number 4 in the state.
All right. Well, it sounds like you guys have great passion for what you do. And Nathan, can you maybe give listeners an idea of your background, what led you to the park, and why you enjoy doing what you do?
Absolutely, yeah. So I grew up in the Milwaukee area, big city, right? And growing up, my family, one of our traditions was we would go camping all across the state at different state parks throughout Wisconsin. And that's really how I got to learn and explore nature and have a love for preservation and conservation. It all started with camping and fishing, little activities that a small city boy couldn't do as much in the big city. And so that led me to pursuing this as a career. I got into school for natural resources. I got an associate degree from Fox Valley Technical College in the Fox Valley area here. Worked a little bit as a wildlife technician out at Fort McCoy. Worked up at Pattison State Park as my first year in the parks back in 2016. Loved it and decided to pursue this as a career. So I've been doing multiple seasonal jobs all across the state and even in Minnesota with the Forest Service, with the state park system, with private campgrounds and stuff like that too. And got my bachelor's degree in recreation management from UW-La Crosse. And back in 2022, finally got the full-time job as a park ranger here at High Cliff State Park. So happy to finally be able to settle down, not do all the seasonal work and move around so much, and absolutely love High Cliff. It's I think the park world is I've done a lot of jobs, a lot of different fields, and I think working with the parks is like the best thing.
Why is the program, you kind of touched on it, Beth, as far as the funding side of it, but in addition to the funding, why is the program so important? I mean, I get the fundraising piece, but other things you do, because I know you do a whole lot more than you gave the answers before.
Yes. So the Friends are involved in a lot of things. We have, one of our big things is what we're doing now, and that is PR. So it is through our newsletter, our Facebook page, and our web page, giving information about the park. Why should you visit the park? The great things about the park, taking pictures, that kind of stuff. And we can talk more specifically about those things, but that's an overview. We have started doing events of our own. We did a couple history of High Cliff events. We did a Smokey the Bear event, birthday party event.
80 years old.
80 years old, Smokey is. And we participated in the first day hike, which was held on January 1st this year. We did popcorn and hot chocolate. Got lots of families coming in. It was really fun.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed there's a large social media presence. I see.
Can we talk about
Please.
our Facebook followers?
That's our thing.
Because Beth and I are both on the Public Relations Committee, which is new for the board. And we started that in January of 2024.
Well, we met before that, but yeah.
So officially, our Facebook followers back then, 4,932. And now we have 7,223. So in just 1 year, we've increased our followers by about 31%.
That's amazing.
So we are really getting the word out there about the beauty of High Cliff State Park. Our Facebook posts include all the beauty of the park in addition to some state things. We support other events as well. Thousand Islands just had an event that we posted on our Facebook, so people could go there as well. So we're trying to support the community that surrounds High Cliff as well. But it's really trying to show off the park as a place to come visit no matter what the season.
And just for people, not to get too specific, but I looked up in the last 28 days, we had 215,737 views of our posts, 2,584 interactions, and we had 294 new followers.
Wow.
So people
pretty
are
good numbers.
really tuning in, yeah, and we're trying to be very responsive as we go and connect with people. So we're real happy about it.
You must have a newsletter or something that you communicate with people in the area. Could you maybe talk to listeners about that?
Yes, Rick. So in addition to our excitement about all the Facebook followers that we have now, we've also started with e-newsletters. So these are mailed out with each season. So we've been able to do 4 per year. And it's really become a focus on educating our members. We have special featured articles that are written by, for example, people like Ram Zimmer, Cindy Miller, Don McCulick, Dan Sauer, Deborah Cook. So we have people out there in the community that have been helping us with the newsletter to really educate our readers, and it's been a really nice addition, along with spotlighting what the Friends of High Cliff have going on as well.
So it's a pretty serious newsletter. It's not just here's a page of what's happening this week kind of stuff. It's more in depth than that.
True, it is more in depth, yes.
And you mentioned the merch. I got to ask about the merch. Did you guys do the design?
We get
You work
help
on it? You
with
did?
Harrison Printing.
Okay.
They
All
help
right.
us with the design, but yes, we come up with the sketch, the beginning
Sure,
of it,
okay.
and then they take it from there. And
Okay, and you have
Yes, so we have
T-shirts,
T-shirts,
hoodies, what kind of?
sweatshirts,
water
Water
bottles.
bottles.
We have a
cups,
Valentine's
coffee.
special going on right now with High Cliff coffee and a mug for $42.
All right.
So stop in the park office. We have great merchandise. Oh, and hats too,
Hats.
right? Hats.
Well, that's a Dina.
That was a new.
Yeah.
Magnets and stickers are
Magnets,
very
stickers.
popular. Walking sticks,
Like
pens.
the little medals that go
medallions
on
and
the medallions.
patches. A lot of souvenirs for people to take home.
Okay. And you also mentioned that you're selling at Dick's, and that's the supermarket right here in
Dick's.
Sherwood, correct?
Correct. Dick's
Yeah.
Family Foods in Sherwood, Wisconsin has some merchandise as well.
And if you're a Friends member, you get 10% off if you purchase in the office. We don't get it at Dick's, but we get it here.
Well, then that begs the question, what do you have to do to become a friend?
So we have this handy dandy Join Us brochure that is here at the park office that people fill out. They talk about what they would like if they're interested in volunteering and in what way are they interested. A membership at this point is $20 for an adult for a year, or, and we've had a lot of people take advantage of this, for 3 years they can join for $50. Family is $30 a year, or 3 years for $80. So we have different fees, I guess, but this all goes back into our coffers to help the park. This is specifically for High Cliff. Then this gets turned in, and then we've just developed a system where we follow up with people. So the person that does membership gets this, and then somebody will call the people that sign up and talk about, again, what are they interested in? And then we make a list of people and what they're interested in.
Okay.
And in addition to that, for all the listeners of our podcast today, you can visit our website, friendsofhighcliff.org, and we have the membership on the website underneath Join Us. And we would love for more members. We actually increased our membership since we started our public relations committee by 12 people this past year. So we're excited about that too.
I have to ask all three of you then, and I'll start with you, Nathan. What's your favorite part of the park?
Ooh, that's a good question. There's a lot. If I had to narrow it down to one, though, I think the view from the Redbird Trail, when we're sitting on top of the cliff and staring out over at Lake Winnebago, especially the sunsets. The sunsets here you can't beat, and it's just something really surreal. And one of the only views that you get in this part of the state, where it's more flat. So I'd say being on top of the cliff, staring out at the lake at the sunsets, you can't beat it.
All right. Beth?
I would agree. That is a wonderful place to look at the sunsets. I walk my dog here almost every day. And
So you're pet friendly here at High Cliff.
we are, as long as they're leashed. We enjoy, especially the Indian Mounds part of the park, the Redbird Trail. I, for whatever reason, do Upper Cliff more than I do Lime Kiln. I'm interested in the history of the park, specifically the general store, and some other history type things help set up the history presentations, that kind of thing.
In the lime kiln, for those of us that are out here, we know what that is, but for listeners that might not know, when you say lime kiln, what are you referring to?
We have ruins of so at one time this was a village of Clifton, and there was a lime kiln industry here. And we still have some of the buildings of the lime kiln, the ruins, if you will. And so there's a trail. It's a lower trail, it goes along the water. but that's what we're talking about. Do you want to add anything more about that, Nate?
Yeah, we just have remnants of some of the old buildings from this when this was all industry. They're fenced off. We have interpretive signs that talk about it, and the lime kiln trail, it walks right along the water, goes up the cliff, but it kind of goes around some of the old remnants of the ruins. So it gives you a little bit of history of 150 years ago before this was a state park.
And Donna, your favorite thing about the park?
Well, in addition to what both Beth and Nathan said, and I'm here walking my little dog Lacey quite a bit, so I really appreciate having trails that are dog friendly. My favorite trail in the park is the Lime Kiln Trail, and that is currently our biggest fundraiser right now with the Friends of High Cliff. We're working on completing that trail in the next few years. We broke it up into phases. Phase 1 was just completed with wildflower landscaping, so we owe them a lot. And phase 1 goes from the trailhead, the parking lot, to the waterfall area. And that was an area that was just overgrown, and the water would come over the trail, so it was hard to walk without slipping or muddy feet, and you would see people carrying other people over the muddy parts. But it's such a beautiful trail because it goes all the way along the lake, and then it loops up along the legendary cliff, the Niagara Escarpment. So you get a feel for not only the waterfront, but the cliff part, and it's just a beautiful loop. So we will continue to work on that. That's our number one fundraiser right now, is the Lime Kiln Trail.
And hidden gem that people might not know about that just pop into the park occasionally that you know about because being a friend, you've been around the park a lot. Mm-hmm. Do you have one of those hidden gems that you'd want to share with listeners?
I think a hidden gem is our historic silo, which is up by Erdel Road. In the winter, you can see it very well from the campground, but in the summer, it's hidden because it's across the field. And I would find that as a hidden gem because when it was restored with, once again, Friends of High Cliff stepped in to restore that, they made it look unique as to what year would it be, Beth? Back with the Erdel Farm?
Late 1800s.
Late 1800s. So it's just a very nice reminder of the agricultural society that we had and how dependent we were upon our agricultural roots.
Beth, do you have a hidden gem?
Hidden gems. I think probably for me, because I like history, there are some things in the park that I had wondered what they were and have now learned through the history presentations. One of it is where the condenser house used to be. There's a trail on the upper cliff, and there's some concrete masses, and I've always thought, like, what were these, I wonder? And I found out it was from the condenser house from the trail. Also, along with what Donna was talking about with the Erdels, there is, in the woods, in the upper cliff, there's, again, some cement ruins of something that I often wondered, well, what was that? Well, here it turns out that's where they cooked their maple syrup.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's fun for me to just learn different things about this park.
And Nate, you work here, so, I mean, there's way more gems probably than you have time to mention, but what's your favorite one?
I'm a sucker for giant trees, and we have a handful of just massive cottonwoods here that I think are really cool to just stand right next to and stare up at. And so the backside of the Lime Kiln Trail, right as you start climbing up the staircase there, if you will, well, not the staircase, but the railroad ties, we have a couple massive cottonwood trees, and then on the north horse trail system, there's, in a kind of hidden spot, not as many people know about it, a gigantic cottonwood tree that's up there too. That's just like, I don't know, it puts you in awe every time I see it, I think. And so those would be the giant trees that are kind of hidden around. Those are the things that I try to look for when I go to a park. So we got a few of those.
Last year, Nate, maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the statistics. I know earlier we mentioned the 4th most visited park, in addition to it being the best park, but that's not really a stat, but we'll let that one slide. But what other information can you share with listeners about the actual, how the park is performing compared to some of the other parks in the state?
Yeah, well, we've been consistently growing in our visitation. So again, we just bumped up to the 4th busiest state park in Wisconsin, which is really cool. You know, a little hidden gem in Calumet County for that. Our numbers are just under 750,000 a year now, which is pretty impressive. And going back from like 15 years ago, we were averaging around 400,000. So we have steadily increased, not even steadily, we've increased quite rapidly in the past decade or so for our visitation. Our camping numbers are also continuing to increase, and those are around 14,000 nights of people camping here at the park. Volunteer hours too, we're a little over 2,000 for volunteers, and so we're getting just a lot more people coming out, learning about this park and finding all sorts of things to do. I mean, we really do have a lot. We've got all sorts of trails for biking, for horseback riding, for skiing in the winter. We have a little bit of a snowmobile section that people are using right now too in the winter time. The horseback riding, we've got a lot of boaters that come out here, fishers, people, going off the lake. There's really a little bit of everything for anyone to come and enjoy at this park, and so it's neat that more people are learning about it and are able to come out here regularly.
You mentioned camping. Is it RV camping, or is it pop-up tent camping, or is it all ranges in between? What kind of campers do you usually draw here?
Yeah, well, a little bit of everything. So we have a family campground with 112 sites that are here. And out of that, so many are electric, but most are non-electric. And so we do get a lot of just tent campers that come here, but a lot of people that have bigger rigs too, that stay for quite a while. And then we also have a group campground with 8 sites in there, and those you can fit a lot more people. They're all non-electric though, and they're more conducive for tent camping in that area as well. Again, with being one of the busiest state parks, you can book out sites 11 months in advance, and most people do, especially weekends in the summertime. And so it can be a lot harder to find a campsite here in the summertime, especially on a weekend or a holiday. And so we encourage people to, as soon as you can, try to reserve that site. But yeah, we have a handful of pit toilets around the campground facility. We have a shower building, a lot of bubblers too, and so it's more, we're not a fancy private campground that has Wi-Fi at all the sites and those kind of amenities. People more come here to kind of escape from all of that, and I think our facilities allow that.
And I walked through the campground the other day when I was dog walking, and we have about 4 or 6 campers right now doing winter camping. Mm-hmm. So those diehards are here camping even in the winter.
Yeah, for listeners, just so you know, the temperatures are like hovering below 0 in the morning and not very warm during the day right now. Again, part of the beautiful charm of Calumet County, though, is the weather, because 4 seasons, you just can't beat it. But and snow.
If I could add with the campground a little bit.
Yeah, please.
They do a Halloween event, and the campers put that on, I believe. Mm-hmm. And they decorate their campsites, and they hand out candy, and it's a big deal. And lots of people visit and also camp during that time as well. So if you've got kids, bring them on out. Yeah. It's a fun thing. And the friends will be selling hot dogs and stuff.
So you've got you had a great 2024. Let's look ahead now for this year into 2025 and possibly beyond. What kind of things are out there that you're kind of envisioning and seeing?
Well, for me, I'm looking forward to the next phase of the Limekiln Trail. We're currently working with Millbach Construction to help us with the stairs. So we'll finish that little waterfall area with wildflower landscaping. They have just a little bit of work to finish up in March and April. And then we'll move on to the big stairs. So coming down from the campground, there's one big set of stairs, and then there's another set of stairs about halfway down from the escarpment. So I'm looking forward to that project moving into phase 2.
Mm-hmm. And part of the Limekiln project, I don't know if we mentioned it, was to make the Limekiln Trail more accessible. And that's all part of the stairs and trying to keep it from being muddy and frozen and slippery also. From a history standpoint, we are starting to have discussions about the general store museum and the possibility of reopening it again. There are a lot of structural problems with it that need to be resolved before that would ever happen. If we are able to do that, it'll be a while yet. We need to get the Lime Kiln Trail project done first. But we'll start sending out feelers as far as community interest, who would be interested in volunteering there if we reopened, because it would be volunteers. But I'm excited that at least we're having some discussions about it.
And if you were going to reopen this store and you mentioned the structural issues with the building, would you guys take on that work yourself? Would you contract it out? Would you try to find a contractor willing to come in and do some of the work for you? How would that work?
So some of it will have to go through the DNR engineers. The DNR, the state, owns the building.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have to go through them, and the Wisconsin Historical Society, as far as any kind, it's already designated as a history district. So as far as any of that, but then, similar to the Lime Kiln, I'm sure we would be contracting with people if there are things that we can do, we would do that. Mm-hmm. And possibly we would take it on as a fundraiser. That's what we're looking at in the future.
And Nate, from your perspective, from the state's perspective, what kind of things are on the docket for 2025 and beyond here at the park?
Yeah, I think the Lime Kiln Trail project is the biggest one, which has already been talked about. As state staff, we have a lot of things to do with all of that, and this project too. Just to add a little more to it, it's been one in the making for decades,
60s.
pretty much. Yeah,
60s.
pretty much since this was established as a park, it was decided that this trail really needs to get rerouted because the way that it was initially designed wasn't great for water runoff, erosion, all these things. And so the fact that we're finally getting the ball rolling with this in large part with the Friends' help is incredibly exciting, and we're really hoping to just continue on with that. Other trails too, the Indian Mound Trail, we're trying to start to do some rerouting and working in with that trail too, going over around the Effigy Mountains. So that's a bigger project that we have coming up, and just a lot of other small projects. So we're just finishing up redoing the break wall around our marina, so the boaters can have just an easier time getting in and out and filling up with fuel and things like that. So a lot of smaller projects. Another big one is we have quite a few land management projects that are happening right now. We're going to be hopefully this year having a rather large prescribed burn happen to eradicate invasive species and then to just help our prairie fields. We're trying to do a lot of prairie restoration as we've been finding a lot of unique, threatened, and endangered species that pollinators consist of quite a few of them. And so we're really trying to help grow with the land management projects and make this park all the more beautiful, not just for the people, but for the flora and fauna that call this park home as well.
Okay, you mentioned the protected area. Could you maybe give a little bit more detail of that and what that all entails?
Yeah, so we do have a state natural area that's around our Lime Kiln Trail, and with that there's a bunch of flora and fauna species that call this park home that are within the threatened endangered species of concern category. Rusty patch bumblebee is a species that we've been finding all throughout the Calumet County, actually really all throughout Wisconsin. They really seem to call Wisconsin home, and that's a key pollinator species. We've been doing a lot of programs on them and trying to help raise awareness and conserve the habitat that is required for these species, as well as just pollinators in general, right? Monarch butterflies are starting to decline quite a bit, and within High Cliff as a whole, we have quite a few acres of prairie, and they're critical habitat for our pollinator species, and so we're trying to reestablish more of that with our land management practices and just raise more awareness and education to the public through programs, through postings online to get people to know about it and to help in taking action in their own backyards too.
The park rangers have been very instrumental in hosting brigades. So
Okay.
through the Bumblebee Brigade, which is Wisconsin sponsored, you can take pictures of the rusty patched bumblebee and send it in, and then they'll confirm that it was the rusty patched bumblebee, and it gets marked on a map to show that yes, there it is. So like Nathan said, it is throughout the whole state of Wisconsin, but we have been finding quite a few rusty patched bumblebees here with our prairie restorations.
When you do the controlled burn, is that a certain time of the year specifically? And if so, how does that impact the amenities of the park as far as visitors and campers and things like that?
Yeah, that shouldn't impact visitors' experience of the park really at all. We stick for spring and fall is the ideal times to do prescribed burns, and it's very much weather dependent, so the conditions have to be just right in order to do the burn, and we do contract that out too, and we're able to do that through grants that were acquired. And so, yeah, spring and fall are the time frames that we shoot for in doing these prescribed burns, and we make sure that all the precautions are taken in place, that it's safe and not going to impact or have the most minimal impact to visitors and to the park as possible.
Recently, there was an incident at the park where someone or more than one person defaced some of the tall outcropping rocks here at the park. And Nathan, I'll start with you on this one. First, what's the update on that? And second, what does the restoration process look like for that?
Yeah, it's a little harder because that did take place in a state natural area. And so with that, we have unique flora and fauna species that call that place home, and that takes into effect how we go about trying to clean and restore all of that, limestone, cliff rock, back to its condition. So we have to go through as a state, through our proper protocols and reaching out to folks in Madison and knowing what kind of chemicals can we use in this area. When's the best time to go ahead and try to get this done. We've had a lot of outreach from the community saying that they're devastated by it because it's sad to deface geologic formations that have been here long before any person has been here. So, but it's nice to see the community kind of rally around that and want to help out with the cleaning process. And we're working on still figuring out when exactly we're going to go ahead and try to get back in that area. The location of it too is a little hard to reach, and so that's another thing that plays into effect with trying to go ahead and clean it. It's a investigation that's still ongoing by the wardens here at the park and local law enforcement, and so hopefully they'll catch the individuals who did this, and that this will be a lesson for future people to not mess with, and hopefully it's going to be something that just encourages more people to be alert and vigilant, and if you see something, say something, right?
And I know the Friends put out PR on this. I don't know if it's really PR, it's the right word for it, but information to folks in the community. What kind of reaction and feedback did you get from people when they saw that?
It was incredible.
It was our number one post. It just exploded within an hour of posting. It made us so sad that someone would do this. So when we put it out there, we started with saddened hearts, we have to announce this. And it was shared so many times and so many hits. So it was the community rallying around this. But because of that social presence and the love for High Cliff State Park, we're pretty sure that we know the people that did it, and they're investigating that and trying to make sure that it's all confirmed. But yeah, I'm real happy with the community support that came through for that.
It was really, it was very
Heartwarming.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, you could, right after it was posted, you could sit and stare at the post, and it was like bing, 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 bing. People were just responding. So it really showed, like Donna said, how much love there is for this park, which is great.
And again, for listeners that have not been here, I can't stress enough. It should be on your bucket list. It's just an awesome park, and it's one of those true gems to a community, but also not just the local community in Calumet County, but really the state of Wisconsin and really a much larger area when you take into account it's kind of the lead of the Niagara Escarpment, which goes all the way over to Niagara Falls. So and I believe even it's a UNESCO World Site as well.
Yes, it is.
So it's just one of those things that maybe it's not top of mind, but it should be, because it's really quite the awesome place to see. Nathan, if you could give listeners one idea of what they should do to prepare for a camping trip or just for a trip here, what piece of advice would you give them to prepare?
It's a good question. Well, I'd say if you're camping here, I would be prepared for food and knowing that we have raccoons that are present. We get a lot of folks from bigger cities such as Chicago and Milwaukee, and folks that might not have camped as much, and they don't realize that they need to secure their food. They don't realize that a lot of the facilities in the campground are also pit toilets. We have some flush facilities, but it's a bit more roughing it in a way for camping. And so I just say make sure that everything that you're bringing is locked up and put away and secured. That way raccoons don't get into it. Account for the weather, right, and bring tarps and bring things to keep yourself occupied in case we do have rain or storm. Mosquitoes can be something too. So I'd say if you've never been camping before, do a bit of research. Feel free to call the office. We'd be happy to help and give you information as far as what to expect and what conditions are like. Just be prepared for a fun time. Bring your hiking shoes. We got a lot of great trails, and bring a swimsuit if the beach is good. We don't have any blue-green algae. Enjoy swimming in Winnebago.
And the office has fishing poles too. So if you forget your fishing pole, you can stop at the office and rent one.
Absolutely.
Along with bait.
You can rent not only that, but snowshoes.
Yes.
What other types of things can you rent from the store or from the office here?
Yeah, so we have a little loaner program for a tackle and fishing pole kit. So as long as you have a fishing license, if you're above 16 years of age, you can just sign out a sheet and take a fishing pole and tackle kit. We have the snowshoes in the wintertime. We have a lot of things more geared towards kids and nature activities. So we have backpacks that you can loan out and take with you, and like a Take Smoky Camping with You backpack, and little activities for kids. We have a lot of Go Wild cards that we give out, and then Wisconsin Explorer booklets that are filled with a bunch of little science activities that just get people, again, and especially kids, interested in the outdoors and learning about science and nature and why it's important. And if you fill out the little page in the middle, if you do a lot of the activities, you can bring it back into any state park. This isn't just with High Cliff, but any state park, and get a free patch with that. We also, our friends have put on a scavenger hunt list that you can take, and then if you fill all that out and you show pictures of all the things that you found, you can then get a sticker, or I believe like a magnet through the friends. So a lot of cool things that you can do. And that just gets you more excited about nature, the state park system, and outdoors in general.
If people wanted to learn more, Nathan, where could you direct them to go on the internet to learn more?
Yeah, I'd say you can go to the Wisconsin DNR homepage and look up, just if you're interested in camping in general, we've got the Wisconsin camping website. You can look up High Cliff's state park specific website, and they can tell you pretty much everything that you need to know about this park specifically. You can make your reservations online for camping, and you can also buy your state park stickers online too. Otherwise, feel free to call the office, stop in, and any of the staff here would be happy to help answer questions too.
Speaking of the stickers system that we can buy here from admissions to the state parks, it recently has changed in how it's issued. Could you maybe walk the listeners through that as well?
Correct. So for the longest time, it always used to be a calendar year sticker, so it would be good from January to the end of December for a year. They have just switched it as of this year now to become a 12-month sticker, so it's more of a rolling thing. So if you purchase it now in February, the month that we're in, it'll be good to the very end of February 2026 next year. So you get a full 12 months out of it, a little more bang for your buck. People seem to be pretty excited about it. And it's a good thing.
All right. And to the Friends group, I would just ask is if you wanted to learn more about the Friends group, where would you direct people to go to find that out?
Oh, please go online to our website at friendsofhighcliff.org and look underneath the tab Join Us. We would love to have you.
And how much was membership again for a year? And then for the 3 years?
It's $20 per year or $50 for 3 years.
Okay.
Family is $30 for a year, for a whole family.
And
3 years for $80.
And every penny will go to the state park.
All right.
We are ran by volunteers.
All right. Well, Donna, Franczek, and Beth Braun, thank you so much for being our guests here on the Travel Calumet Original Podcast. Nathan, thank you so much for taking time away from your busy schedule to join us as well. It's great to sit down with you all and hear about the exciting things happening here at High Cliff State Park. Thank you for listening to episode 38, listeners, and make sure you check out our other 37 episodes of the Travel Calumet Original Podcast by clicking on the microphone on the homepage of travelcalumet.com. That's travelcalumet, CALUMET.com. And if you liked what you heard today or on previous episodes, please help us spread the word on all the great things taking place here in Calumet County by taking the time to text a couple friends and encouraging them to listen to the Travel Calumet Original Podcast. Thank you for listening, and until next time.